Hello, welcome to the Be Active yoga program with me, Kellyann from Kellyannyoga. This is a short yoga video with accessible practices that anyone can try. We want you to be safe during these practices, so please do check with your doctor if you need to. Yoga is a fantastic practice to connect your mind and body. In these videos, we'll look to improve posture and balance, increase strength and flexibility, and include a little bit of relaxation as well. Remember, you're responsible for yourself now and any time that you practice yoga. If you experience palpitations, feel dizzy, or unwell, please do stop. Usually, yoga is practiced with a mat and bare feet. But don't worry, if you don't have these things, it's not entirely necessary for these videos. You may need a chair. If you need to move your furniture, please be sure to use safe lifting practices. You'll need space to move your arms and your legs, so please do be aware of your surroundings. Thank you. I look forward to practicing yoga with you. In this video, we'll be standing and then sitting and lying down. So please be aware of your surroundings and use caution as you're moving about your space. So taking a moment to arrive at your practice, maybe taking the weight into the heels a little bit more, bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the low belly, lengthening up through the crown of the head. And taking a moment as you arrive to just notice if there's anywhere that you're holding onto tension that you might be able to soften a little bit here. Maybe the space between the eyebrows. Maybe the skin on the cheeks. Maybe the shoulders. Or the hands. Noticing physical sensations within the body, but also acknowledging that the mind and the body are deeply connected. It's hard to separate the mind and the body, so being present with whatever arises in the thinking mind or with the emotions as well. Meeting that with kindness and compassion for yourself. Taking the awareness a little bit deeper into your breath, noticing where you feel the breath moving in your body without judging, simply strengthening that awareness of sensation within your body. Feeling the breath move in and out. Maybe starting to breathe a little bit more consciously, breathing into the low belly, filling the breath into the low ribs and into the top of the lungs, and then exhaling from the low belly and through the lungs. If you can, you're breathing in, filling from the bottom to the top, and then exhaling from the bottom to the top. Breathing in and out through the nose if that feels comfortable. And taking one more breath here. Seeing if you can stay present with your breath as you're moving through the practice. Maybe releasing the arms down to the side. And just exploring about spreading those toes nice and wide if you can. And then rocking forward and maybe lifting the heels. Use something if you need to support for balance. Maybe just going very gently, lifting the heels and the toes, only a centimeter or two. And then maybe if it feels comfortable and you feel able to, go a little bit higher each time, rocking back and forth. Exploring what it feels like to waken up the feet and waken up that sense of balance. How do we use the feet in this movement? Good. And coming back so you find a more center point and rooting down into the heel. See if you can lengthen up through the crown of the head and lift the heart up towards the ceiling. Keep the back of the neck long. And then as you exhale, soften the back of the neck, breathing out from the low belly. So you're breathing in, lifting and opening the heart, maybe drawing the shoulder blades together at the back of the body. And then exhaling, softening the back of the neck, releasing forward. One more time, breathing in, open through the front, and breathing out, releasing down. Coming back to center, breathing in. And as you exhale, come into a side bend. Check in with the shoulder and the pelvis being in a line. Stay grounded through both feet. Use something if you need to support the balance. Stay here, or if you feel able to raise the arm along as far as it feels comfortable towards the direction of the ear. Stay rooted through the feet. Use the breath here, breathing in, fill the lungs. And as you exhale from the low belly, take one more breath. Stay grounded through the feet. As you exhale, lift back to center. Release the arm. Breathing in, exhaling into the side bend. Check that we're not rolling forward and collapsing. See if we can keep the chest nice and open and the back of the neck long. Staying here, using the breath, or float the arm up as far as it's going today. Alongside the ear, breathing in, breathing out from that low belly. Breathing in and breathing out. Come back to center. Releasing. Good. Taking the feet maybe a little bit wider if you want. Looking out around your surroundings, gently starting to sway the arms. If you feel dizzy from this movement, go slower or perhaps skip it. If it feels very comfortable, you could turn the head and the neck with this movement as well. Looking over the shoulder and maybe tapping at the back, the low back, or tapping into the kidneys just below the rib cage can sometimes feel quite nice. Very slowly, when you're ready, we're going to come back to center. Slow down that motion. Don't stop immediately, but take it slow to slow down. And then notice any sensations maybe that you feel in the hands and the feet, or maybe notice the breath or your heartbeat. Good. From here, if we bring the feet more underneath the pelvis, the outside edges of the feet parallel, slide the hands down to the hips again. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, take the bottom really far back behind you. Bend the knees, come into your chair pose. Breathe in, keep the heart lifted. And as you exhale, press to stand, straighten the legs. Breathing in, feel the muscles activate as the hands slide down, and see if you can keep the knees on top of the heels. Breathing in, and then as you're exhaling, press to stand. Let's do one more. I'll show you from the side. So you're taking the bottom really nice and far back behind you so that you can keep the low back nice and long and the heart lifted. Notice what's happening in the toes. Exhale, press to stand. One last time. You could maybe take the arms out this time if you wanted to. Knees on the heels. What's happening in the feet? Exhale, press to stand. Shall we do one more? Exhaling, bending the knees, take the arms out if you want. The bottom goes really nice and far back behind you. Soften the toes, but don't let them lift either. Exhale, press to stand. Good. We'll move into the chair for a moment here. So if you're moving your chair, please use safe moving principles. Bend the knees, use the legs. And come to sit. Again, using these muscles, take the bottom really far back. Watch what's happening with the knees as you come to sit down. Good. And then sitting in your chair, nice and tall if you can. Find those sit bones. Take a breath in and then cough or laugh. work with that as a practice for strengthening these deep abdominal muscles, or work with the breath, breathing in, exhaling from the low belly, and stick with that for today. Or if you want, you're taking a breath in here, and as you exhale, you're leaning back just ever so slightly until you feel those deep abdominal muscles engage. Take a breath in there, and then as you exhale, come back to center. Maybe stick with that as a practice. Or as you feel comfortable and ready, you're exhaling back, maybe lifting one hand and then the other hand, keeping the heart lifted and the low back long. Breathing in and then exhaling to come back to center. Have a rest when you're ready, when you need to. Stick with that as the practice. Or perhaps as you come back, you might want to take the arms out and then lift just one heel and see what that feels like. What muscles switch on? Where are we using the body? Maybe switch sides to help support this movement. Come back to center and have a rest. Keep working with those movements, exploring them for you today, or exhaling, leaning back, maybe lifting one heel, maybe lifting both heels. If you really wanted to keep the heart lifted, could you lift the toe off the ground? Keep the heart lifted. Could you lift the other toe off the ground? Good. Exhale, both feet come back down and arms release. Well done. So we're going to transition onto the floor now, remembering if you need to move your chair to do it carefully and safely. And when you come to stand, can you press into the feet and hinge from the hips and really use the legs to come up to standing. Remember, these movements that we're making every day, often if we do them with a little bit more awareness, it can make a big difference and prevent some of those things like back injury or shoulder pain. So if you need to move your chair, then do that carefully. And again, if you need something to help yourself to come down onto the floor, take the bottom really far back, bend the knees. So we're using the legs and the support of the chair. Take whatever knee feels better for you to come back down onto, and then transition onto the back of the body, sitting down onto one hip and using your arms to help yourself down. So as you roll onto the back of the body, you might want a pillow or a blanket underneath the head or underneath the pelvis. Just noticing when you come onto the back, any physical sensations that come into the awareness, and being present with that shift in gravity. Finding your breath once again. And lengthen the back of the neck. Make sure that the back feels comfortable here. And as you're next breathing in, if you draw the right knee in, take hold of the back of the right leg. You might be able to do that with your hands, or you might want your strap or your belt. And then taking the foot up towards the ceiling, spread the toes, squeeze the toes, spread the toes, squeeze the toes. Go gently at first. Good. And then point and flex the ankle. Using your breath, keeping it nice and steady. And rotating the ankle in one direction. And then rotating the ankle in the other direction. And a couple of times just bending the knee and extending the leg, bending the knee and extending the leg. Working with the hip, drawing the leg into the torso and then extending the arms long and taking the leg away from the torso. Breathing in and breathing out, just gently for the hip. And then releasing that leg down. Remembering you can use a strap or a scarf or a belt if you need to make the arms a little bit longer. If you take the opposite leg in, if you then extend the leg up towards the ceiling and spread the toes and squeeze the toes, spread the toes, squeeze the toes, noticing that range of movement that's available today. Point the toes and flex the toes, point the toes and flex the toes. Just going with whatever is available for you, circling the ankle in one direction, circling the ankle in the other direction, and then slowly releasing that and extending and lengthening the leg back up towards the ceiling, working with the knee a couple of times here. Good. And then we'll move into the hip. So we're drawing the leg into the torso and then extending it away and straightening the arms. Breathing in, supporting the movement with your breath, and seeing if you can be really present with any sensations that you're noticing here. Not good or bad, just being aware. Releasing that leg down, releasing your strap. And there's one more movement that I'd like to do here. If we roll onto the front of the body, again taking your time, being careful as you come over, supporting yourself. And then if it feels okay to lay on the front of the body, come to lie on the front of the body, make a pillow with the hands. Put the forehead underneath the hands and see if you can feel what it feels like to be on the front of the body. Reach back through the toes. Maybe stay here. And if it feels comfortable, could you bring the hands alongside the pelvis and maybe turn the head to one side? Keeping the toes as they are. And supporting this movement with your breath. As you next inhale, could you float the heart, lift the head, and turn the head to the other direction. Exhaling to come down. So you're breathing in to lift the heart and the head, and then you're exhaling to turn the head to the opposite direction. Breathing in. See if you can go slow. Keep the back of the neck long. And keep all 10 toes down on the floor. And perhaps stick with this as a movement. If you want to go a little bit further as you're inhaling, could you take the arms and reach back through the fingertips towards the toes? And then exhale and come down. A really nice movement to support the muscles of the back, to strengthen the muscles of the back. If you can connect it with the breath and slow it down. Just do as many as it feels comfortable for you today. Maybe doing one more to each side. And bringing the hands back underneath the forehead and making a pillow with the hands. You could rest on the front of your body here, turning the toes out to the sides and keeping the forehead on the hands. And have your relaxation there. Or if you wanted to roll onto your back, make sure that you're transitioning carefully. Rolling onto one side and then onto your back, and make sure you take some time to get comfortable as you need to. Maybe bring a pillow underneath the head, extend the legs out long, or have the knees bent. Once you arrive in your place for relaxation, one hand to the heart if you're in a position where that's possible, one hand to the low belly. Is there anywhere here that you're holding on to that you might be able to soften a little bit more? Softening into the toes and the legs, maybe even into the low back and the pelvis. If it feels comfortable to close the eyes, close the eyes. Become aware of where you feel your breath moving in the body. Breathe a little bit more consciously, filling into the low belly, filling into the lungs with the breath in, and then exhaling from the low belly, letting all the breath empty out of the lungs. Breathing in, seeing if you can expand the breath into spaces that maybe normally don't get breath. Breathing out, see if you can soften a little bit more into your relaxation. Taking 3 more breaths here in your own time. When you're ready to come out of your relaxation, taking your time to gently wake up the fingers and the toes, make some small movements. Roll onto your right side. Spend a few breaths on your right side, allowing the blood pressure to come back to its natural rhythm. Using the hands to help yourself up, to come back to a comfortable seat. Just for a moment, sitting in a way that feels comfortable for you. Bringing the hands together at your heart. Thank you everybody for joining us. Well done, and we'll see you next time.